Hello, I'm Dante Scala.
And I'm Andy Smith, and this afternoon we're at the Elliott Alumni Center at UNH. And one of the things that we put out on our discussion boards this week was, should New Hampshire have the first primary? Dante, there's a lot of people that don't like it.
Yeah, and a lot of our audience online is discussing the question, and we have people from both New Hampshire and then outside of New Hampshire. And as you might guess, whether you live in New Hampshire or whether you live outside New Hampshire, people have different perspectives on whether New Hampshire deserves to stay first in the nation. And I guess over the years we've heard just about every pro and con argument that you could imagine for keeping New Hampshire first or throwing it to the back of the line.
And I guess the biggest criticisms is that New Hampshire is really not a representative state. It's mostly white, it's middle class, it's suburban. Our largest city only has about 115,000 people. So a lot of people say that's not really representative of what the country looks like.
And I think the other argument is that New Hampshire and Iowa as well get so much attention. It's way out of balance with its right, and it's way out of balance with its how large the states are in the whole United States of America. Why aren't we going toward bigger states like California and New York? Why do they have less attention than a small state like New Hampshire?
And those are fair criticisms, and I don't think there's a way you can really answer that other than saying that New Hampshire always had the first primary, and why should somebody else have it? So it's a historical argument versus kind of a demographic or economic argument at that point.
And I think the case, and we're going to discuss this on the discussion board, is whether New Hampshire has a good playing field. Even though it's not representative, is it a good playing field because it's a small electorate, because there's an absence of party machines that might deliver the primary to one candidate or another? So I think that always, to me, seemed like one of the best arguments for New Hampshire was that it was a field where anybody could play.
Right, and I think one of the other things that makes New Hampshire a little bit different, or a lot different than the other early states, is that turnout is really high here. So I anticipate this year our turnout will be over 50%, and no other state will come close to that in terms of turnout. So it goes way beyond the activists in New Hampshire, getting down to regular voters.
So we're looking forward to all of your comments this week as you go through week 2. We appreciated both your comments and your careful eye for detail during week 1, and so we're looking forward to hearing from you. Tonight, Andy, is the third Republican debate and on CNBC, and we're going to be live tweeting this at the hashtag UNH primary. And so what are you looking for tonight from the Republicans?
Well, first thing I want to look at is how this debate is played out in the media. What are they going to do? Is Donald Trump collapsing, and are we going to focus on what's Donald Trump's problems? Or is it going to be more substantive to give us some of the policy differences between the candidates? Because I think the previous 2 debates have been more like reality TV. I think this one hopefully is a little bit more like a civics lesson.
I'll be looking at Ben Carson, the neurosurgeon who is running as one of the outsider candidates, along with Donald Trump. Some people throw Carly Fiorina in that group.
Or Ted Cruz, possibly.
Well, possibly, yeah. Lots of people like to be outsiders. No one wants to be an insider during a presidential primary, right? Ben Carson, all of a sudden, appears to be challenging Donald Trump for frontrunner status. He's ahead in Iowa, and he has appeared in front, at least in one national poll. So tonight, I'm sure he's going to be getting the questions are going to be turned up on him to see whether he's for real or not. So I imagine the media is going to be giving him a lot of attention, the moderators and so forth.
Right. And the other thing that I'm hearing from media folks is this Jeb Bush's last chance? There seems to be a death watch in the media as to whether his campaign is the next one that's going to drop, and that he really needs a strong debate performance tonight. So I think there's going to be a lot of focus in the press on how well Bush performs. So even though it may not be central to the debate, it's going to get a lot of attention afterwards.
Yeah, and then a little further down in the second tier of candidates, you can look at Senators Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, both of whom are in their own lanes, so to speak. That seems to be the metaphor for 2016, is whether you're in the proper lane heading toward the nomination. And both of them have been taking their time in building a campaign slowly and hoping to peak at the right time in February as opposed to November. And I'll be watching them to see whether they just stick to their message and not panic.
Right, and I think that's really the key. If there's anything that history tells us about the New Hampshire primary, is that the ups and downs that we see in the polls right now are really not indicative of what's going to happen on primary day.
So we're looking forward to hearing from you all on Twitter tonight at #UNHPrimary and on discussion boards throughout the week. And we'll see you next time.
Take care.